Well, shakin' bacon, welcome to Flynndogg Woodwork. So today we're going to be taking a look at 5 tools that I guarantee you haven't seen before or heard of before. So let's dig into these tools and see if any of them interest you. So we're going to be going all over the place today, and that's because I've got some tool innovations, some changes to some classic favorites, as well as some cheap alternatives. So which one should we check out first? Well, that's an easy question. We're obviously going to check out the cheap alternative. So my wife and kids have been out of town at Disney all week, and while they're spending money on Mickey Mouse ice cream bars, I thought I'd get on Amazon and Amazon Deep for a bit. And since I had a little extra time to be on Amazon this week, I thought I'd check out a brand that I see all the time on that website. It's a brand you can't find at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, or even Menards. You serious? There's a store called Menards? I thought we'd lost you. Here till next week. Maybe you should try the Menards Deep. That's got a double meaning. All right, let's take a look at our first tool. So our first tool of the day is the Hychika Hammer Drill Driver. Let's dig into it and see what comes with it. It's been a while since I flunked Spanish, but shouldn't that be Hola Chica? Guess so. So this is a brand that I haven't seen any other YouTuber cover, so I thought it was worth giving this tool a shot to see how it works. Now this tool at the making of this video costs just a little bit over $67, which is a great price for this tool. So let's take a look at what you get for that 67 bucks. So right off the bat, I'm really impressed with what you get for the money. You get the hammer drill driver along with a battery and a battery charger. You also get an attachable clip along with 2 sets of bits. So after my first impression with this tool, there's 2 things that really impressed me. The first thing is there's a battery as well as a battery charger for that $67 price. The second thing is they include some drill bits so that you can get started right away. Now, one thing that's kind of a bummer about this brand is the batteries are proprietary. However, I did a quick search on Amazon and these batteries sell for about $20 a pop. And let's remember, we got the whole tool and the battery for $67, which is less than the price of one battery at many of your big box stores. So let's dive into the features of this Hychika Hammer Drill Driver. So let's first start off by taking a look at the bottom side of the drill. As you can see, there's a belt clip that you can attach to either side of the drill. On the very bottom, you'll find the battery and the battery release knob. You'll also find a battery indicator button that allows you to see how much battery life you have. And lastly, you'll find an LED light to help guide you as you're doing your work. Now the grip on this tool feels very comfortable and it is a little bit heavy, but it's about the same weight as you'll find with the Fest tool. And the hand controls are very similar to what you see with any other drill and driver. You have a pistol grip action in the very front as well as a directional change on the very top. Let's take a look at the front of the tool to see what options are available next to the chuck. The first thing that you'll find is the gear switch, and there's 2 options for this. One, which is the higher torque, and 2, which is lower torque. So in other words, if you're using this tool for a drill, you're going to want to keep this in the 1 setting. If you're using it to drive in fasteners or screws, you keep it in the 2 setting. There's also 2 torque adjustments near the clutch. Let's take a look at those. And as you can see, there's 3 major settings to adjust the torque of this drill. The first setting is for a hammer drill, the second setting is to drive in screws or fasteners, and the last setting is to use this as a normal drill. But you can also adjust the torque within each one of those 3 settings, and they may have taken a lesson from the band Spinal Tap, as the torque settings go from 1 all the way up to 21.
The numbers all go to 11.
Next, let's take a quick look at the battery and the battery charger. And this tool comes with a 20 volt 2 amp hour Hychika lithium ion battery, and it charges in the same fashion any other battery does, and it takes 1 hour to get a full charge. Finally, let's take a quick look at the bits that came with the tool. And all of these bits are magnetic, and one thing that I really like is the fact that it comes with extension bits as well as an extender, and it comes with Phillips head, star bits, flat heads, as well as Robinson bits. Now this will be a tool that I'll need to spend some time with before I can give you a solid review on its performance, but I will put a drill bit in and a driver bit in and see how it feels. So let's start off by testing the driver feature, and in this case I'm going to drive in a couple of screws using a star bit. So I'll change the torque to the driver setting and I'll keep the torque at 1. And here I've got a scrap piece of mahogany that I'll drive the screw into. And believe it or not, that's exactly what I'm looking for. With the torque setting at 1, I don't want this screw to be driven all the way through this piece of hardwood. Now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum and test it out at 21. So I'll twist the torque all the way up to 21. And in this case, I expect this screw to be completely driven in. And here you can see the relative difference between those two settings. Now just for the heck of it, let's put the setting to 10 and see if it falls somewhere in between those two depths. So I'll just dial it back to 10 and then we can drive in our screw. And I'll place this screw right in the middle. And it's a little bit difficult to see, but as you can see, there's different depths for each one of those screws. The next test that I want to do is just to put a drill bit in and see how it feels. So I'll change the gear to 1 and change it to the drill setting. And I don't anticipate any problems with this. And what do you know, the drill drills. So I'm pretty impressed with this $67 hammer drill driver. So is this the most powerful hammer drill and driver I've ever used? No, but it is affordable. At $67 with the battery, I think this is worth taking a look at. I would compare it to other affordable brands like Ryobi, so if you're on a budget, it's worth checking out. Well, that takes us through our first tool of the day. We've covered the affordable, and now it's time to talk about an innovation from an old favorite. So if you saw my recent video on items that I ate crow on, you'll know that one of those items was a 3D laser. Actually, now that I think about it, it was a 4D laser. And the reason I ate crow on that laser level was because it was poorly made. In fact, it was falling apart at the seams. And that sucked because I really liked having those 4 lines on my laser level, so I did what any other normal person would do. You went Nards deep, didn't you? No, but I did Amazon deep, and I found one that's cheaper than the one that I ate crow on and cheaper than most 3D laser levels out there. And this is the Dovoh 4-plane laser level. Professional. Professional jackass. So let's start off as to why I got this item. First of all, I really like 4-plane laser levels. Secondly, this thing is cheap. Cheap for laser levels. And that includes 3D laser levels. This thing comes in at $299, which is a lot cheaper than most 3D lasers. So let's dig into this hard shell case and see what you get. So as you can see, this box comes packed with accessories. There's 2 mounting brackets as well as 2 batteries and a charger. There's also a laser target, the tool, and finally a set of safety glasses. Those glasses don't look half bad. Can I have them? All yours, buddy. Thanks, cuz. You bet. So let's dig into this tool and see what it's all about. So let's first talk about the battery structure of this tool and how it's powered. And this is something that's really quite nice. As you saw, it comes with 2 batteries and you can either charge it through an external charger or charge the battery internally through its USB-C port. But there's another advantage of having that USB-C port on the tool, as you can actually remove the battery and have it run indefinitely on external power. Next, let's take a look at the physical structure of the tool and see how it's put together. We already mentioned that there's 4 lasers on this tool. There's 2 X, 1 Y, as well as 1 Z axis. Now let's take a look at some of the buttons and indicators on the tool. We already mentioned the USB-C charging port on one side, but if we flip the tool around, you'll notice the pendulum and manual mode lock. And we'll cover what those modes are in just a second, but let's continue on with the rest of the buttons, which are located on the top of the tool. And there really are only 3 buttons and 3 indicators with this tool. The first button is the on-off button, or the pulse mode button. The second button is the horizontal line switch. The third button is the vertical line switch. Lastly, the indicators are the battery indicator, the pulse mode indicator, and finally the manual mode indicator. So the pulse mode is used with a laser receiver for either brighter environments or longer distances. The pendulum mode and the manual mode are 2 modes that are used more commonly for us woodworkers. Let's go over how those work. To use the pendulum mode, we first need to unlock the pendulum, and this is done by flipping the switch on the bottom of the level. Once that pendulum is released, all of your laser lines will self-level. And in fact, the tool will not only flash at you, but give you an auditory warning if it's unable to get level. But maybe you need an angled laser line. Well, this tool can accommodate that too through its manual mode. To do this, you'll first flip the switch at the bottom to lock the pendulum. Then you'll press and hold the on button for 2 seconds. Once it's in the manual mode, you'll see the manual mode indicator light turn on. With a tool in manual mode, you can see that I can rotate it to any angle without getting the flashing light or the auditory warning. Now let's take a look at the remote and see how we can control this tool remotely. And the remote couldn't be more simple. It's like a keycar fob with only a horizontal switch button as well as a vertical switch button. And there's absolutely no delay in pressing the button on the remote and getting a response from the tool. Now, as you probably saw from that last clip, there's obviously 4 lasers on this tool. Let me show you why I like having those 4 lasers so much. Now, these are typically the lasers that you get with a 3D laser level. You get your X-axis, the Y-axis, so that you can line up those perfect 90-degree corners, and the Z-axis so that you can carry it to a third plane. But a 4D laser adds a secondary X-axis, which is extremely valuable in my opinion. And this second axis is exactly 4 inches away from the top axis. And it's this 4-inch spread that can be perfect for lining up things like light switches and even outlets. The last thing I'd like to talk about with this tool are the 2 amazing mounts that come out of the box with this tool. The first mounting bracket has an easily adjustable clip so that you can attach it to any surface, and then a rack and pinion system so that you can dial in that perfect measurement. And the second mount is more like a stand that works like a jack. It's pretty cool. Let's check it out. And this works much like a scissor lift. We can either adjust the knob to go up or down depending on where we want our lines to be. So if you're interested in a 4D laser level that's not going to break the bank, check out the Dovoh 4-plane laser. It's professional. Hey, Future Brian here. That's the metal background. I've reached out to the company since making this video, and they're going to be giving away some of these 4-plane laser levels for free to some of my viewers. So leave a comment with the word lamp down below and we'll get you entered into that drawing.
I love lamp.
Do you really love the lamp, or are you just saying it because you saw it?
I love lamp. I love lamp.
Now let's get back to the video. Well, that's going to take us through our first 2 items of the day. Before we move on to our third, I ask you to do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and leave a comment. It really does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, if any of the tools we take a look at today interest you, check out the links below to see how you can purchase these items. Lastly, check out my new website, www.flynndogwoodwork.com. There you can find some fun accessories like the t-shirts that I wear in my videos, as well as shop updates and ways that you can support the channel. So if you're interested in any of that, check out the website, www.flynndogwoodwork.com. Now let's get back to the video with our third item. What if I told you I found a solution to one of my biggest frustrations with the modern woodworking environment?
Termites?
Well, you first might want to know what my frustration is, and I'm guessing many of you have the same problem. Flipping batteries. Wouldn't it be nice if you had one battery that could work with multiple different battery infrastructures so that you could get your jobs done quickly and easily? Well, I found a company that's starting to tackle this issue, and I think they're worth talking about. So let's grab this next tool and see what it's all about. So this next company is called CEENR Interchangeable Batteries. Let's see what it's all about.
CEENR? I ain't seen her, and I barely know her.
So what is CEENR? Well, they're interchangeable batteries. Let's take a look at the boxes to see what tools they're compatible with. And here's the long list of battery infrastructures this interchangeable battery will work with. Makita, DeWalt, Milwaukee, The Works, Porter Cable, Craftsman, Black & Decker, and Bosch. Now, one infrastructure that I didn't see available for this tool was Ryobi, and that's because they work in a different way than many of your flat style batteries. They're also missing Festool, Rigid, and even Hychika, but this is a great start. Let's take a look at how they work. So there's essentially 2 components to this tool. There's a battery pack, which is an 18-volt lithium-ion battery, and then there's caps that you put on top of the battery pack. In this case, I have a DeWalt, a Milwaukee, as well as a Makita. So let's first take a closer look at that battery pack. There's not a whole lot to this battery. As you can see, if we look on the very end, there's a little button you can press to see how much battery is left. There's also a USB-C port as well as a USB-A port in case you want to charge something else. Using this battery is quite simple. You simply take the cap for the battery infrastructure that you want to use and you slide it right on top of the battery. And in this case, we'll use the DeWalt. So I'll take the cap for the DeWalt and I'll slide it right on top of the battery pack. Once the cap is installed, you can see there's no discernible difference between the battery pack and the original DeWalt battery. But does it work? Well, let's test it out with a DeWalt drill. So just like you would with a normal DeWalt battery, you simply slide the tool right on top of the battery pack and voila. Tired of using your DeWalt and want to switch over to Makita? Or in my case, Alloy Man, the poor man's version of Makita? Simply slide your tool off the battery pack, place your new cap onto the battery pack, and then you can slide your tool right on top. And it's interchangeable batteries like this that could single-handedly remove the handcuffs that we placed on ourselves by getting into a certain battery infrastructure. And with the CEENR interchangeable battery, I can now buy those one-off tools from brands like Makita or Milwaukee and not have to buy the tool and the battery, just the tool only. Saving me a ton of money and not forcing me to have to buy an entirely new battery infrastructure. So a pretty slick little invention in my opinion, and something that I think is a valuable addition to any shop. Well, that takes us through 3 items and only 2 more left to take a look at. Our next item is made by a brand that I've come to love over my years in woodworking. Don't know what that brand is? Well, it's Bessey. I've got more Bessey clamps than any other brand in my shop. And I've tried other brands like Irwin and Jorgensen, but I always come back to Bessey.
I'd never go back to Bessey.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's the name of your ex-wife.
And my cow, I kept getting them confused. It was an utter disaster.
Oh boy. Let's check out our next item, which is also made by Bessey. So our next item are these Bessey one-handed table clamps. Let's open up the box and see what it's all about. So this is a style of clamp that I'd never seen by Bessey, and because of this, I knew I had to get them. This set comes with 2 clamps, so let's take a closer look. So your first impressions with these clamps may be that they look like any other quick clamp, but there's a couple of features with these clamps that differentiate them from other quick clamps. Just like most Bessey clamps, they have the one-handed style that easily allows you to adjust them either tighter or looser by pulling this red knob. They can also quickly be adjusted to spreaders by a quick press of the button and a realignment of the jaw. But neither one of those features are why I got these clamps. Let me show you the unique features that sets these clamps apart. First of all, you may have noticed the extended reach of these clamps by the detachable jaw extension. This extension allows you to get to some of those harder to reach clamp ups that you may not be able to get to with normal quick clamps. But if you don't need that clamping extension, you can obviously remove it and place a clamping pad on the normal jaw so that you can get a little bit more reach. But that's not the only feature these clamps have. Let's grab a piece of track from a track saw and I'll show you what else they can do. So what I'm going to do with the clamp is simply remove the top end and flip it around so that it's facing the opposite side. Once we have the clamp in this crazy looking position, we've instantly converted it into a track clamp. With the rail that's been revealed, we can instantly slide it into our T-slot and not only give support to our track, but also our workpiece. And with the clamp in place, this is probably one of the most secure track clamps I've ever seen. And these clamps will not only work with Festool, but most major brands, including Wen. So if you're looking for a multifunctional clamp made by one of the best brands in the business, check out these one-handed table clamps made by Bessey. Well, that's going to take us through 4 items today and only one more item left to look at. Our last item is an accessory that I think every shop could use. So whenever I do a project, I'm always losing tools. I'll misplace a tape measure or a chisel and I'll have no idea where it's at. So this got me thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a cart where I can place all the tools I'm working with and know exactly where they are? But there's one problem with that. I don't have room for a cart that might get in the way when it's not being used. So I began to wonder if there's such a thing as a collapsible cart, and it turns out after doing a little bit of you-know-what, there actually is, and that's what our next item is. So inside this box is a foldable utility cart. Let's unbox it and see what it's all about. So inside the box, you're going to find this 3-tiered cart, and it even has locking rolling casters so that you can roll it wherever you want. On the top, you'll find 2 rubber handles so that you can push this thing wherever you want. But the real value of this cart has everything to do with its collapsibility. Now you may have noticed that red handle in the center of the cart. By simply pulling up on this handle, the cart instantly collapses. Once it's collapsed, you can keep it collapsed by simply adding the Velcro strap. And once it's collapsed, the thickness of this cart is only about 7.5 inches wide from handle to handle. And going from its collapsed state to full assembly is really quite easy. Simply undo the Velcro and push down on the handle and you're ready to go. Then it's just a matter of adding the tools you need and you're off to the races. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today on checking out this amazing variety of tools. I had a lot of fun showing them to you, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and leave a comment. It really does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, check out my new website, www.flynndoggwoodwork.com. Until next time, take care as always.